time Andy and Brandon will be together reviewing something for Star Wars, but Mandalorian and Grogu in literally 2 weeks and 1 day. So never thought the time would come, actually. I thought the world would get hit by a comet by that time. But finally it's here. But Andy, how's it going today, man?
I am all good, bro. Been a little bit under the weather. I had tonsillitis over the weekend and still hanging around,
Ah,
but apart from that, mate, all good. It's a week of finales for me this week, so
yeah. I heard wow, what was it? Punisher? Did Punisher just no,
uh,
Daredevil.
Daredevil finishes. Episode came out last night for America, today for us in the UK. Um, Obviously that means the Punisher specials next week. We've got three after. Well, actually after today, we've got three more episodes of The Boys to go as well before that finishes at the end of the month. So yeah, it's getting there, and then I can finally have a bit of a break in June.
Yeah, for real. I know that's right because I've seen a lot of the talks with people who are into Marvel and Star Wars. They both got uh, finales with like within 2 days apart from each other. So that's pretty nice. But today, guys, we are talking Maul Shadow Lord, of course, for the finale, episode 9 and 10. Cannot believe that it's wrapped up already. It's been a real slow yet fast 5 weeks. I don't know how it's felt for you, Andy, but it's been kind of slow and fast for me.
Yeah, at the start, it always feels like it goes slowly, and then but when you get to the last one, you're like, damn, because it's been double episodes, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like it just feels like it's flown by now.
Yeah, and I'm glad that they did 2 episodes because if we would what just now be getting on episode 5 and that would be terrible. That would suck. But yeah, that's okay. That's all right. We with the finale wrapped up, we'll talk about both episodes, but overall, let's look at Maul Shadow Lord as a whole from episode 1 to 10. Where does it fall in your ranking now?
Interesting question. Some people are saying it is the best Star Wars show that's ever done. I think like the ratings in general have put it as like the highest ranked Star Wars TV show of all time. I don't think it sits in the top two, if I'm honest. I still think Clone Wars beats it, specifically season 7 of the Clone Wars, because that just gave us the most epic ending ever. Um, I still think Andor is above it. I'd even go so far as to say I think overall maybe Mandalorian's above it still as well.
Mm,
Especially obviously I know some people don't like season 3, but season 2 was pretty epic. Even obviously
yeah.
season 1 was pretty damn good as well. So I think it sits sort of lower tops. So I've quite enjoyed it. There's been some points when it's like been a little bit meh, and we're going to get into some of the issues that I've had with it, as well as the praise that I want to give it as well. So, but yeah, I think overall I could probably definitely put it in the eights for
Mm-hmm.
ratings, which anyone that knows me is pretty good. So
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking too, Andor. We talked when we wrapped that up, and it's just it's in a league of its own. Obviously, live action. It was stunning visually and emotionally, and just so many good points. But Andor is definitely in its S tier. But for me personally, with Maul Shadow Lord, it's probably my favorite animated series, and I really love Bad Batch. That's probably my all-time favorite animation. But you know me, I judge filler a lot, and there's a lot of that within the Bad Batch, and of course a lot of that within Clone Wars and Rebels as well. But yeah, dude, Maul definitely just hit it in all categories for me. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, that's where I stand as well. But yeah, dude, Mandalorian, especially season 1 and 2, yeah, it's hard to be complete and try to beat some of those great series that we've got. And it's really cool that we are getting a movie for it. And yeah, season 3 dropped off a little bit. It definitely it was a different tone. Not too sure, kind of what guided them into that direction. Not too upset with it though, but still liked it. But yeah, overall, it's really good. But well, before we start talking about episode 9, Mando is in the building. What's going on? Hello there. Maul is trending at number 1 on Disney UK, followed by the Mando and Grogu, a special look feature at number 2. Nice. Hell yeah. Always forget that you're in the UK too. Shout out to you, man. Dale Skywalker, are you getting your tickets in 52 minutes? No, I am not. I will not be going to Star Wars Celebration 2027 because
Ooh.
hopefully buying a house at
Ooh.
that time. So we got
Oh,
priorities.
wrong way around priorities, yeah.
I know. I guess I could just go like live on Skid Row for the next year with my family in LA, and the convention would be in my backyard at that point.
I remember queuing up for my tickets for in 2023 for
Mm.
well, obviously I got it the year, technically I got them the year before, but I remember like being in the queue like online for like an hour before I got through, and like being like, better not bloody sell out before I get on there, and then managed to secure them for the weekend. And
Yeah.
absolutely love it because obviously it doesn't get over here very often. I think like
Right.
what was it, like 2011 or something, or maybe a bit was the last time it was in the UK. Like Europe was maybe 2016. So yeah, it's an absolute
Damn.
delight.
Yeah, that is nice. Was it in London?
It was in London, yeah. So it was like 2.5
Nice.
hours on the train for us, and then a bit of travel time across London to get there. That was the weekend when obviously they first like announced Ahsoka and stuff, and had the trailers for Ahsoka. Um, that was after season one of Andor as well, where they had all the prison stuff, like the one way out stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was absolutely epic, and obviously the first time Hayden Christensen returned to the conventions. So the dude obviously like crying on stage because he got like cheered so much. So
Damn.
I was incredibly happy to get to something like that because obviously I never knew if I was going to get to go to a big Star Wars thing like that, like an official Star Wars thing anyway. So anyone out there that was teetering on the edge of should I not get tickets, trust me, get your tickets because it's worth it. I think our viewership's going to drop at like whatever time it is that they go live. Is it? People go off to go buy the tickets, or just open a separate screen. It's fine. You can still watch us. But I
Yeah, yeah.
implore any of you that are thinking about it and weren't sure, do it because it's so worth it. Just to be there, even if you don't get to go to the panels or anything like that, just to be in the arenas and see what's going on. And the fact that it was an open stage as well, so like you didn't have to queue up like you do for the panels for when they did like the interviews with all the different people. Like it was just an open stage in the middle of like one of the rooms, and everyone just crowds in, and you get to see it. So
Damn.
it's so worth it if you get that chance. You get to be a part of it,
Yeah,
and that's
that's
where I picked up
badass.
my my Galaxy's Edge holocrons. If I can get my fat head out the way. So
Oh, yep.
so the ones from Galaxy's Edge, they were like a stall was selling them. They'd imported them from America, so that's where I got my holocrons from as well.
Damn. Hell yeah. I know you've shown those before, but I didn't know you got them from the
As well as there's
celebration.
some artwork on the walls over here that me and the wife got from Celebration as well. So
Fuck, dude. I know. It kind of makes me sad, but at the same time, yeah, we have to do adult things first. Then we can
yeah,
play later, right? But yeah, Ryan, what's up in the building? How's it going? How's it going? But yeah, Austin Snow, how's it going? Yo, Maul's Shadow Lord is the best. Yeah, it's beautiful, man. I love it too. Yeah, maybe Mando, it'll go back to the UK, bro. Maybe. Seems like every 10 years, right? 2011 and
well,
2023, around then.
Europe, somewhere in Europe. But they've obviously changed it to be every 2 years now for like the actual event rather than every year, haven't they? So
Yeah, that is kind of
but
what it's been looking like.
big one next year, 50th anniversary of Star Wars. So we expect a lot of big things.
Oh yeah, and some of the new stuff that they're gonna drop in. I know they're gonna drop something with like the Ray movies or something by
Yeah,
then, because that's gonna be pretty epic.
Darth Vader TV series, you know.
Yeah, it's due now. Might as well. Everyone's getting their own show. Why not? But yeah, man. So episode 9 was absolutely tremendous. It was rampant. I mean, straight off right out the gate. I mean, we knew what we were getting into, but the way it started up, it was there was no time to slow down. It was just straightforward. Then after episode 8 last week, it was really cool to get some of the emotional points from Maul, and then going into Strange Allies, which was the title of episode 9. Now you're kind of like, oh, who's going to be working together? So, obviously Maul, Docky, which that was a crazy little duo for a while. And then Devin, Two Boots, Lawson, both father and son, Riley and Brander. And yeah. So what did you think of episode 9?
It was non-stop, really, wasn't it? I mean, both these last two episodes were, but this one was unexpected. Just at the pace that they went at. So obviously we knew they were going to probably have to team up to escape. Should see that coming. Um, but just them like feeding through all the little bits that have worked on the series. So like Daki working out that Devon and Maul have made a connection already. And Devon having not been honest about it, is a big thing. It may just seem like a little thing to be fair, but that's a big thing in context because she's kept that from her master when she's already made a connection with someone who's obviously on the dark side. So all those little things just building it up, and then when they're trying to escape, and then they have the big fight with the Inquisitors and obviously the stormtroopers that show up and stuff. That was pretty damn good because just they're obviously trying to like cross this acid river or what lake or whatever, and then Daki's like sensing that they're on the way, and Marek and the Crow, they did not fuck around. They did not
No.
come out. They didn't monologue as if like, you may as well give up now because we're gonna get you, sort of thing. They just ran full pout and went straight at it. Um, so what a start to that fight was, and then obviously five lightsaber duelers going at it. How often do we get to see that on screen?
Dude. Oh,
Just all over it. So
it really was, like the a lot of fans and people who have seen the series already said yes, it is very scary. There's some, the Inquisitors are very horror based, which I love that. But it was really cool to see them, come out the tunnel fast. I mean, it was seeing Daki turn around and just ignite his lightsaber when Maul was like, "What is it? What do you sense?" And Daki didn't even say a word. He was just like, basically, we got to get ready. So then Devon's like, "Fine, I'll ignite my saber," and then Maul ignites his, and then yeah, they're just real low to the ground, running out of there, and then the Crow lets out kind of like a bird shriek. So that was really cool. So it's just like, oh, okay, so maybe the Crow is like a humanoid of some sort. So maybe there is kind of like a bird slash human like connection that he shares. I don't know what kind of species he is. Maybe we'll never know. We don't have to. But it was really cool to see that. And dude, Maroc is just, I don't know, dude. Watching these two fight, and I mean, outside of the fight sequence, like, wow, that might have been some of the best animated fight sequences that we have ever seen in animation. I mean, the only other thing that I can really think of that is in contention, of course, is Ahsoka and Maul. Like that is one of the best all-time duels in Star Wars itself. It's amazing. It's poetic, really cool. But man, like this fight when Daki, Devon, Maul, Ahsoka, and the Crow all clashed lightsabers at once, like that was
that, and
insanity,
I
man.
wish that they kept that scene or that stance with all five of them like against each other's sabers for just a couple of seconds more because it was like you
Oh,
said, it was
dude.
so quick. Like this fight was the movement was so quick at times it was hard to track the sabers because that's what I'm normally watching during the fight. Obviously, you're watching the whole picture, but I'm tracking the sabers because that gives you a way of obviously like keeping in with the fight. And here it was like the animated style. It was just the fact that they just had them moving so quickly. It was really hard to even keep an
Yeah,
eye on the sabers. And then that moment where the five of them clash at once, it was over in like I think less than a second. Like I've
yeah,
seen some obviously screenshots of that moment, and you're like, I kind of might want to have that as like a background picture on my PC or something. But just I wish they kept it for a couple of seconds, just so you could really grasp it, because it was over and done with so quick. You almost have to stop, rewind, and watch the whole fight scene again just to take it all in. But yeah, it was so good. Sad to see,
yeah.
obviously, quite a few people die in the scene as well. Um, like Spybot, bless him,
Oh,
the little
dude.
Decepticon.
Yeah, for real. Dude, that took me off guard, man. I was just like, no way. Because at first you're like, what is Marak throwing at? And obviously it's just like he's throwing at like Maul. I think Maul was in front of him at that point, but him moving out the way and, Spybot just taking that hit. I was just like, oh shit. But then after that, I was like, is this where Daki goes down? Do they
Yeah,
kill Marak here? So it was kind of sad to see Icarus get shot. Like he just kept getting pelted for a minute, and I was like, God damn, dude! Like it was, animated. It was kind of graphic. Like we've seen tons of people, Kiadi Mundi, get shot time and time over and over again. Ayla Sakura, geez, we've seen it time and time again. But just I don't know, there's something different with Icarus. When he got hit and then he powered up and just
he
went out
still
on
went
a
at it, didn't he? He just throws their knives straight in the faces of the stormtroopers, and then still goes on tackling them until he ends up in the acid river himself. Bless him.
Yes, I know. Dang, I think my camera just died, but we'll switch over to my other camera, which it'll be more face on. So sorry, guys, if I'm all in your face. But yeah, oh man, it just made me so sad to see all that work out. I just, it makes me sad. But maybe my camera won't move. Maybe.
It's just as well, like, I think it was interesting because throughout both these episodes, there were times when everyone's expecting Maul to obviously double cross them at some point and have him like betray them and whatever. And then there were kept being moments when he kept telling like Daki and Devon and the others to go ahead and to move and leave him. So
Yes.
especially when Spybot goes down and Devon's on the other side and she has to use the Force to hold the hoverboard up, whatever it was, so the others can get across. And Moore's the very last one to go across. To the
Right.
fact that he let everyone else get across first before doing that himself. So even though he's there walking, he's never had his legs properly fixed at any point during these last couple of episodes, and he's there like still letting everyone, two Jedi escape, and then so he can then take on the two Inquisitors at the same time and then escape himself. It's just showing that side to Maul, and he did it again in episode 9 several times where he's telling everyone to run or to move on, and he'll stay back and hold people off. So just showing that side that people aren't expecting of Maul, I think.
Yeah, dude, it was really sad too with, how everyone goes out and you see it take a huge effect on Maul, especially kind of like you're saying, but it's more so like with Spybot, like you see that sudden like, oh, that took him down for a second. And Icarus, it was cool to see him tackle out the stormtroopers though into the acid. That was really cool, but I felt so bad seeing them all just fall apart in a way. It's just not good when you see characters that you've been with for an entire season fall down. So that wasn't cool. But the fight and the overall scene in itself had my anxiety on a high because I'm like, okay, so they have this little skiff, and it's like, how are they going to get from that end all the way to the other? And it was very shallow. Like the roof of the cave, like above the
Yeah.
pit, was not tall whatsoever. So it was just kind of like, okay, how are they getting out of this? What's going to happen? When the crow fell down and caught himself from falling into the like oil or the toxic waste or whatever, that scared me because I'm like, no, he's not gonna, I thought he's gonna like maybe scorch his legs or something. I don't know, but I was just like, no, 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 no. But he got up pretty quick, so that was cool. My camera will be back on here in just in a second, letting it charge up a little bit, so you get to see my blurry face. But yeah, dude, it's so cool. And the way Devin was able to get that extra like force jump and like propelled herself off the like rock, like the top of the ceiling, that was really cool. And then I know a lot of people were talking about how Maul was able to get across, and it was sort of like how Starkiller held his lightsabers behind him.
I mean,
I thought of Ahsoka right away.
no, I was thinking of Star Killer because there were several moments in this episode, and maybe even I think they were all in this episode. There were maybe 3 moments when you're like, that has to be a Star Killer nod. Because first of all, when they're trying to get to the sewer type bit, and he takes out like the ATST, or the early iteration of whatever it's called. That just I even said to my wife at the time, I was like, that just reminds me of the Force Unleashed, the way that Starkiller takes down, because he kind of like just slices through the legs and slices up through the middle of them, and they then just like fall over and fall apart. So to me, that was Starkiller. The way that he lands with his two sabers up behind him, to me, that was Starkiller. And there was one other moment that I'm struggling to think of exactly what it was. It may have been the way that he sort of held his stance again. But it came across again as very Starkiller to me. So there does seem, I think because it's Sam Witwer, so they are doing a few Starkiller references here. For me, it was definitely giving off that vibe.
Yeah, and that's very valid too. But it was like the more I kind of looked back at it, I was like, oh, okay, here we go. With Sam Witwer, I think that is a good little callback though, because I mean it's two of Sam's characters, especially with Starkiller, Maul. I mean, it's kind of like best of both worlds, and maybe that's Dave Filoni just being like, yeah, dude, like we're gonna get you another moment here, and especially with a lot of fans speculating, like, are we gonna bring back Star Killer at any time? It's just like, I don't know, like, but there, you can always throw in like the little moments here and there. But yeah, I thought it was cool. But But dude, yeah, let's move on and easily talk about, the crazy ending. Like goodness gracious. I know last week we were talking if he would show up or not. He did. He very well did show up, and it was just insane how that happened. But when they leave the toxic waste underground, they're talking. Marak looks over at the crow, and they're like, he's running into his path. Will let him know,
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, who are they talking about? Because there's tons of speculation. Like, what if Palpatine was there? Like if that's who they were talking to, like that would have been crazy. That would have been a very traumatic instance because now Maul sees Palpatine again. But of course, with it being Vader, it was crazy, man. What did you think of that overall?
Yeah, when obviously they mentioned, oh, let him know that they're coming to him, and I was like, it could be Palpatine just to really
Mm-hmm.
mess them all up. But I was thinking, off the top of my head, I went probably the Grand Inquisitor because they're sending more Inquisitors out to try and get Maul. So who better to show up than the Grand Inquisitor? And that's my
Yeah.
initial thought. I know I've said the whole way through this, and obviously, there's been clips online of me saying, um, I didn't really want Vader to show up in this show because I just didn't think it would be the right move. I was wrong. I'm happy to admit that. Because first of all, they're just there, and obviously they're scouting. What's it? The Commandos and Rookcast are like, we're going to scout ahead into the mist, and like the Jedi again. Daki senses something, doesn't he? He's like, there's something out there, and you
He's
hear
a
the
smart little
shooting,
guy.
and you hear the commando dies, and then Rookcast comes back, and she's like, "There's someone," and then just drops to the floor and pulled away, and then you just hear, "Ugh!" And then you're just
Yeah.
like, "Okay." Because you thought it's probably not the Grand Inquisitor, like it could be just some big animal, and we're being thrown off the
Yeah.
thing. Because like I wasn't 100% clear if Rookcast had been force pulled away or whether something had grabbed her from like her legs from behind and pulled her away.
Yeah.
But then of course there's just pure silence as you're like looking into the mist, and then it just comes, and you're like, "Oh my god!" And then he just
Yeah.
shows up, and he's just like lights up his saber. Like I literally, because obviously this is Star Wars, I'd literally just been watching Rogue One earlier. But he appears out of darkness and lights up his saber, and I'm like, this is just that, isn't it? He just shows up out of the mist and just ignites his saber, and you're like, damn. So what a way to end that episode, and then to go into the
Just
next one that's entitled "The Dark Lord" as well. So, what a way to make Maul feel crap on his own show is to throw Vader in there and give us the showdown people have talked about, and obviously we'll get into that in a moment. But yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't sure whether I would want Vader to show up in this, but I'm kind of glad he did now. But what was your reaction to that scene?
Yeah, dude, I was super hype. Of course, I wasn't. I mean, I was expecting it, but not in this way. And even in the next episode, it's just the way they did it. I just would have never thought that they could have pulled this off at all. But there was a interview with Vanessa Marshall,
Yeah,
and they
I saw
asked
that.
her how she wanted to go out, and that was really cool. She said that they wanted it to sound like Rook Cast's lungs were being ripped out through her mouth. That is very very graphic. Something I'm always down for, especially in Star Wars. That's cool. But yeah, it sounded like a monster. You know what I'm saying? Or there's like a big beast back there. Had no idea what that was about, but it was. I think it was just a mixture of all the destructing sounds. But because at first I'm like, is that like a Rancor or a Zillow beast back there? Like, what the hell? Like, there's got to be something. But yeah, dude, it was Vader after all, and now we can throw all of our Rook cast as the armor ideas right out the window.
Well, I mean, it's obviously Vanessa Marshall confirming pretty much that the character's dead, but it's like, and it's something we'll probably talk about in this next episode as well. But it's that thing nowadays. If you don't see someone die on screen, are they really dead?
Yep, that's true. That's
But I think Vanessa's statement pretty much confirms.
yeah, and I'm cool with that. Rook cast, she was a good character, and it was actually really crazy to see her, you know, meet an end here in this first season. So who going
Which I
forward,
didn't
it's like
expect
who's
either.
gonna. Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, there's so many deaths in this little 2 episode adventure here, but Yeah, let's go into the episode 10, the finale, titled finale until, this week, the Dark Lord. That's what this episode was called. Just in pure insanity. I wow. I really just still can't believe that's what happened. Is just Vader. I mean, I was telling you, man, if it's Maul versus Vader, that's gonna blow the internet out of the water. I mean, it's gonna be loud for weeks to come, and just insanity. Real quick, something before we get into what you thought of the episode 10. Something that I thought was really cool was obviously no Vader talking, didn't say a single word. And number two, I thought it was cool that Maul asked who he was and stated that he is not an Inquisitor. So for Maul to sense that and feel that simply, wow. And I mean, if this was the first time you ever watched Star Wars and you had no idea who Darth Vader is, which that would be super hard and random, unless you're like maybe a small child, you would be like, wait, that's not an Inquisitor? Like if you had no idea who Vader was, and especially with no speaking, dude, wow. Absolutely crazy, man. So, what did you think of these?
Yeah, the him not talking point is something that I've seen split the internet a bit. Because a lot of people found it more terrifying that he didn't say a single word the whole time,
Right.
and just added to the aura. He was aura farming the whole time as Vader does anyway. But the fact that he doesn't talk just adds a bit more like aura to the whole situation. He just doesn't feel the need to speak. That's not what he's there to do. Even though a
Right.
lot, but the other side of it is a lot of people have wanted a talk between Vader and Maul to compare their
Mm.
situations, to talk like to Maul to say this is what you can expect to happen because it's happened to me, and then Vader to be like I'm not in that situation. Mine's completely different. Some people want that philosophical talk between the two, and they haven't had that. That might still happen in season two,
Yeah.
to be fair. So, but yeah, so I mean, we started off obviously, the three just ignite their sabers and go at Vader, and he's just. This is the thing about Vader is he could be a lot more ruthless than he has been. He likes to toy with people at the start with because he wants to test their strength. He wants to,
Yep.
to play around and see how things go. He's always going to have that advantage, as we see that later on. He just absolutely starts going for it. But he just wants to. He's just toying with them, and the ease that he was batting off a Jedi Master, their apprentice, and a former Sith Lord was just laughable. Really, just
Yeah.
three at once, and he's not even got a double sided lightsaber. So technically, he's battling off four blades at once, and he's just doing that using both the Force and his saber. It's absolutely unreal. And it's just a joke, isn't it? It's just an absolute joke how Vader does this. And I just sat there in awe because you're like, this is exactly what you want. And like, he is aura farming because he's just showing off. And then like they're going into those ruins and like they're pulling down the ruins around them to stop Vader, and he's just lifting stuff up to walk through it. And it's just like, this doesn't bother me. But on your point of what Moore was saying, is like he points out, you're knowing, which, like you said, if you didn't know who Vader was, you see how like Marok and the Crow are dressed, and they see Vader and go, they're all of the same like ilk because they're all dressing up in these costumes, like no one
Yeah.
show their faces, so you could easily assume it was another Inquisitor. But I think Maul knows immediately from the way he fights and how strong he is. He's like, this isn't like the others. Like
Mm.
one of the other two might be able to hold off all three attacking him for a very short period, but he wouldn't be easy to back them off and make the three of them retreat at the same time. So that's how he knows this is different. Because obviously, I wonder if at any point it drops for him that because obviously season 7, the Clone Wars, the finale, and he was obviously tried to lure Anakin to Mandalore, and he gets Ahsoka instead, and he chats with obviously Ahsoka trying to recruit her in Anakin's place. And obviously he doesn't know that Vader's Anakin. So I wonder if there's any point where it's going to drop where he realizes that this is, this is Anakin. Because
Yeah.
obviously, whereas because Daki says, I fear what my heart is telling me that this is a Dark Lord of the Sith. And Maul kind of doesn't react to that, and I kind of expected him to like click, and he's like, oh well, crap, well because the last a year ago, just before Order 66 happened, I had these visions that it was going to be Anakin Skywalker that became his new apprentice. And then it's a year later, and maybe the penny would have potentially dropped for him, but he didn't seem to react at all, which I found a bit weird. But Maul's not stupid either. I expected him
Mm.
to put two and two together maybe quite quickly. He doesn't seem to have like done that at all. So, but yeah, it's just just Vader. It's just Vader. That's all I can say.
Dude, just in pure insanity. What's up, Star Wars Marshall? How's it going, bro? Glad you're here. Dude, it's just something that I really picked up on was it took me back to the Kenobi series, and that's a show that I really did enjoy. You know, it really helped me understand that Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader,
Mm.
and you kind of feel that here again because it's kind of like when Obi-Wan was like, "What have you become?" Like, and when he senses that Anakin is there when it's Darth Vader walking down that like town street, like the town road or whatever, and just going through, just completely annihilating people. It was just that sense that Obi-Wan was like, "Oh my God, that's Anakin," and I was hoping that Maul would have the same treatment and have the same feeling, but obviously he, felt that this was, no Inquisitor whatsoever, and it's, something far more large than just an Inquisitor. So, yeah, the title itself, the Dark Lord. I mean, this was something that was very, very triggering for obviously the Jedi, just fighting the enemy, the sworn enemy, and it's just insane that we get to see that yet again in 2026. And pretty much anytime Vader is on screen, you are locked in. You're not looking at anything else. Your mind's not thinking of anything other than what you're looking at. And that's how I felt completely with seeing Vader here. And it was all very short, short and sweet blows. It was actually a video I saw on YouTube of them quote or slowing down the fight style, and Vader knew exactly what was coming before his body would even shift into, deflecting another lightsaber coming his way, or just another there really was no punches thrown, but like he knew exactly what was coming every single time during that fight. And yeah, just not even trying really
That's
until
it.
Docky. I felt like the when he started giving him the overhead slashes over and over and over, and then just the look on Docky's face, just like, oh God. And then looking over at Devin and seeing how everything unfolded was pretty crazy with Docky going out. But
It's
yeah, dude,
because
just
that's an Anakin rage bait move as well.
oh yeah,
So I think the first time we ever really saw it, with Tim going it like that was uh, season finale of season 5 of the Clone Wars, when the whole betrayal of Ahsoka storyline goes off, and he's you know what, I'm getting terrible with names. The one that became the Inquisitor that betrayed Ahsoka.
Barasafi.
That's it, Barris. I can't get terrible names. He's obviously fighting her in like the courtyard of the Jedi Temple with the younglings who are in lightsaber training looking on. And when like he's getting annoyed with her and he starts doing the overhead smashing to completely overpower her. And it's just 100% Anakin rage move when he starts getting annoyed. He's like, okay, I'm done with this now. Because like Daki captures him on like the arm or something, doesn't he? Or on the hip. And
Yeah,
he's just
shoulder.
like,
Yeah.
he's just like, what are you doing? And he's just like, then just goes for it. But I mean, but just the fact that they all had to split up because the Inquisitors show up again, and so you've got like it's 3-on-3 essentially, and like Maul's the only real one that could maybe hold a prolonged fight against Vader, even though Daki did for a little bit. You can say it wasn't particularly prolonged because that dude was never going to come out on top as we knew. But then the fact that like Maul has this thing halfway through, and he's like, "We're not going to beat Vader. There's just no way that's going to happen." Like the dude easily took 3 of us on. He was toying with us, and he sees like Devon in a bit of trouble, and he makes the decision that he's going to leave Daki and Vader to go and help Devon, and he force pushes Daki into Vader, and he's just like, "Ah,
Dude.
sod it, off your pop," and that's obviously then just kicks up the end of Daki really. So, and for all the brutalness that they showed us in this show, the fact that they decided not to show us the penetrating blow of Vader to Daki, but just the after shot of him like pulling the saber out of him, I'm like, okay, that was a bit random. Like you expect to see the
Yeah.
killing blow, so to speak, and then obviously the sealing, Devon's fate in a way that she then loses the plot and taps into a rage when she's fighting the crow, isn't it? Although people are
Yep.
going, oh, obviously Marok's dead now, and I'm like, are we not past this? Of like
Yeah.
again, someone that like just because he got pushed off a bridge doesn't mean he's dead.
No. See, and in my head, when Marat gets pushed off, I was like, he probably fell on like a lower platform or a lower cliff of some sort. Like, I'm almost 100% positive that's what happens. He's not going to die from that. And
No,
plus, if he was to die, and like, who's going to find him, Night Sister, Night Brother, and take him to Dathomir to get, brought back? That's just not happening. Unless, like, Asajj Ventress walked by and was able to perform. It's just like, that's not the thing.
well, it's just the
So
same way that like Ben Solo gets pushed in between that crevice on Exegol, isn't it? And he just climbs his way back up. So
yeah, yeah. It doesn't have to mean anything, and I don't think it does. I think Marak will be just fine. We'll see him, years down the timeline as he will be with Shin Hati and Balin Skull, but fun nevertheless. But dude, I really felt some type of way when Maul pushed Daki, because Daki was completely defenseless against that, and you could just tell that, and it was just a slight push. Like, he was just able to, he could have got away, but he didn't. I felt so bad. I felt kind of sick to my stomach. Like I said, wasn't a huge fan of that, but then. But that's for the story that had to happen, because it shows that Maul, you feel so bad for Maul this entire season, and then stuff like that reminds you that he's not a great person at all. So that was cool to see. It's good guys versus, or bad guys versus worse guys, that the creators were hinting at before Maul Shadow Lord's release. And then obviously seeing Devin tap in to the dark side and letting that rage get the best of her. And she didn't know how to handle it at first. The crow was still giving it to her. Like, she was not able to, get on, like a, basically to win against them. There's just no chance that was happening. So that was cool to see. But shout out, it's just James on Instagram. He did just post a reel yesterday, and he was kind of breaking down like Devin tapping into the dark side in, like, basically at the end of her sentence. Like, she said, "I'm gonna kill him," and then like when, or them, and then when she said them, her voice just got real deep, and it was just rage and dark side. So that shit was really cool. But yeah, overall, I mean, how many times have we seen Vader look up at a ship, just get out of his grasp? I would have never in a million years thought that the savior for Maul versus Vader would be Dryden Voss. What? So that was kind of like, I mean, it was silly in a way, but I mean, it worked, whatever. But I was just like, huh, Dryden Voss, a living legend now.
they made absolutely no effort whatsoever to make Dryden Voss sound like Paul Bettany from Solo.
Yeah.
Just- they even gave an American accent in this. It didn't come across in like Paul Bettany's British type accent or whatever, his normal type voice. So that is a little bit annoying to me. I was like, you could have made some effort to get him similar sounding to how he was in Solo, but it just seemed like there was no real effort.
Yeah. I know, and that I didn't notice that really until after the fact, because I was just like, damn it. Like, Paul obviously is a great actor, but dude, I was just kind of like, oh, and like afterwards I was like, oh, okay, so it is different. Okay, I didn't really remember, but it's, for me, I mean, this could probably be a hot take, but I've just always felt this way. But like, even like Matt Lanter, like, really great, did great for Anakin Skywalker and the voice acting and stuff. But I still to this day have such a hard time thinking like Clone Wars Anakin is like the Anakin we get in like Revenge of the Sith, because it's just two different demeanors. That's just like, Clone Wars Anakin is very like boom, 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 straight to the point, and then like Episode 3, he's very like down, and of course he's about to fall to the dark side. But it's just like, I don't know. It's really hard for me to kind of be like, oh yeah, this is the same character. So, but there are many times, Rage Anakin, when he comes through, I'm just like, oh yeah, there he is. There's that guy I know. But yeah, for the most part, it's just hard for me to kind of tap in that that's the same character. But I mean, same with Dryden Voss, animation and live action. But just a little thing that I thought I'd throw out there.
No, I know what you mean, because like I think they could have done a better job in like the later bits of Clone Wars, even when they brought back season 7. I know they didn't have a chance. Like season 6 was all like the lost files they called it, because it was when it was cancelled and they'd already done that stuff. But season 7 they could have done a better job of moving him towards that fall to the dark side, and they didn't, simply because half of season 7 was focused on Echo and the Bad Batch, and
Yeah.
then the second half is the finale, where it obviously he plays a small role at the start, but him and Kenobi are whipped off to the events of Episode 3, and we're left with Maul and Ahsoka to finish off the Clone Wars. So yeah, I know what you mean. Like sometimes you see that obviously they set the stage throughout the Clone Wars for him and the way that he does certain things, but then it is hard to reconcile they're the same person because they just didn't do the follow through. I think of seeing it in the Clone Wars TV show of like how he was starting to fall. So I get you on that one, but yeah, it kind of annoys me sometimes when like you've got the character here, you're bringing him back to fit him earlier in the timeline, and then you just don't make the effort to make it similar. Like I mentioned it as soon as he started talking. I went, "That's not the same voice. It's not even close."
Yeah. And then yeah, that's how episode 9 started, was with their little meeting, and it was like, okay, yeah, we can get this crime syndicate stuff out the way before we tap in with the actual, the meat and potatoes of the episodes. But yeah, dude, I mean, as much as there's so much cool like Vader stuff, and the fight scenes of course were just 10 out of 10s, it was over quick, and just not even to mention like Lawson, like that's another character that you didn't see him die on screen, but he took some blows, man. He was taking some blasters.
Well, yeah,
So
that's. I mean, it's as I said with like some of the other characters in the last episodes. If you don't see them die on screen, do they really die? And he's another one
yeah,
that I'm like, can you absolutely 100% say that for certain that he is dead? Like, yeah, we saw him taking some shots as he walked into the mist to face the stormtroopers, but he could have just taken those shots, fallen to the ground, not been hit, and then captured by the Empire, and we
yeah,
see him again in season 2. Although I love it when he's like, two boots, take him to his mum. It's like, cool. So you're escaping the Imperial Army to take him to Coruscant to go to his mum who works for the Imperial Army. So that's going to be fun to see.
yeah. Maybe she'll hear exactly what happened, and maybe that'll pull mom out of the situation. But I was thinking the same. Like maybe they, look at Lawson as an asset. And how cool would it be to see them, obviously get Lawson back up and running again, but keep him with some intel so they can find Maul again, potentially, and seeing Brander get what is that, interrogated,
Mm.
kind of like the same way Leia did. That'd be a good little callback to see them use the same like probe droid for Lawson. That'd be cool, but. Yeah, dude. Who knows? I mean, I like Lawson. Hopefully he comes back, but it would be interesting to see how they use him in a season 2. So I think Vader and Maul, kind of to wrap it up, I do think that Vader and Maul will get another chance to meet on screen again, and this time I really hope that they have like a meaningful like dialogue with one another, because that would be another huge thing for Star Wars, especially with Maul and Vader. Just yeah, dude, that would be so cool. Just nuts.
So let me ask you something then. And this is one of the gripes I maybe have because this, for me, has caused a bit of an issue. And it's an ongoing issue with Star Wars in general, I think, at the moment. And is that has Star Wars messed up power scaling for certain individuals? We're talking maybe more the Inquisitors and more here because Vader, we know he's overpowered. But
Yeah.
because basically, I mean, if we take, we'll talk about the Inquisitors because this is the big one. I think we talked about it a couple of weeks back. They said they seem to be making a big effort here to make the Inquisitors look more and more competent the more things that they do. So when we first encounter them in Rebels, which is the first time we ever see the Inquisitors, they're not particularly skilled. They're a little bit dumb in a way, even though they're
Yeah.
sent out there to be Jedi killers and hunt them down. And we get that from the Ahsoka novel as well, that was sort of retconned a bit later. But the Inquisitors aren't all that. Essentially, they're easily defeated, easily taken on, even by like someone that, like Kanan, that was an unfinished trained Padawan, or an untrained didn't finish his training, and then like Ezra and stuff as well. And we see Ahsoka in Rebels take them out pretty easily as well. And then Maul shows up, kills three of them as well, the three of them in as well. And as we see it, we go through to like Kenobi, where they seem to make it a bit more competent. We see their base, we see how they operate. They're a bit more with it, and then we come to something like this, and the way that Marok and the Crow have gone at three lightsaber wielders, and how they're ground more than competently and almost beat Maul as well.
Yeah.
It seems like the way that we see obviously the Crow dispatched in like Tales of the Jedi by Ahsoka as well. She dodges him twice, steals his lightsaber, and cuts his head off.
Yeah.
And that's not the crow
No.
that's not the Crow that we've seen here. The way that we see, okay, Marok at the stage of this second live action show is obviously a dead repossessed Marok, and so he's probably not at full strength. But they have made the Crow and Marok look very competent in this, intelligent, very skillful in their fighting. And it just seems that there's like a power scaling problem going on in Star Wars between certain characters and the way that they change things around constantly and rewrite things. Is that something you think is like inevitable as time goes on, or do you think it is an issue, the fact that the way that they set characters up to start with and then change them later to make them look better than previous sets were, it unbalances things and makes it look a bit dubious?
Yeah, and that is something I always think of too, especially in this series and pretty much anything that has maybe Ahsoka in it, because I feel like Ahsoka is very, we know that's Dave's one and only, his his go-to, which is cool. I've grown to really love Ahsoka as a character. But yeah, dude, it's just like couldn't I've also read something online where it's like the Crow had his guard down because didn't have her lightsaber, and he knew, with his given skills that he could take her down without a weapon, blah blah blah. That's a cool take, but at the same time it's just like, is that just because it's Ahsoka though, and like of course, like maybe Marok wasn't all the way there. I don't know, dude. It's just it just seems like it falls into Ahsoka's lap more than anyone else. But yes, I mean, there's times like where Vader, he can't beat Obi-Wan, but he'll beat anyone else, and Obi-Wan can beat Maul all the time, but, and Maul has his issues with some characters, but I mean, and then Obi-Wan loses the Dooku every time they, face off. So I don't know. That's one thing where it's like, okay, that seems more balanced, but more so with, yeah, like there are certain characters where it's just like, yeah, they've definitely like nerfed them a little bit, as term, so I don't know, dude. I guess I'm glad to see Marok and the Crow in their quote unquote prime. um for instance, especially in Maul Shadow Lord, like those dudes got the best of Maul every single time until he had reinforcements. But yeah, I think the power scaling is kind of up and down, but I guess every time we see it, it's in different timelines throughout Star Wars. So I don't know. I do think it's kind of a problem, but at the same time, I guess it just kind of depends where it's at. But
And then
that's a good take though.
And then what about? I mean, this is a general thing I've seen. A few people saying that it's obviously more show, and we see him again get maybe in lightsaber battles get beaten more often than he wins. um,
Yeah.
and so, is this just one of those things that they? I don't know how to word it in terms of, are they making him look like a fool a bit in his own show? Because you, okay, 2-on-1 with Inquisitors and he's distracted by other things, but at the end of the day, you've got to win a battle if you're in it. And
Yeah.
whilst he technically escapes the Inquisitors, you could say on balance he probably loses. If you were if it was a boxing match and you're doing it on points, he would lose. And then
Yeah.
again, he just gets handed it himself. His ass handed to him by Vader, who just didn't even. Vader wasn't even going at full flow. Like if Vader wanted to, he could have killed all three of those people in about 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
So Vader, as we know, we spoke about earlier, Vader toys with them, sort of thing. So is it a problem that when you've got the main character of a show that they don't show him at his absolute best and he's constantly bested, or is this just the classic character progression thing? Because it's a bit hard as well, I guess, when we know what Maul's like, we know how good his power set can be, but he's constantly been shown to be weaker. And is this just character development that is very classical and very what's the word? It's like a big trope, if you know what I mean? It's just something that we don't need, or do you just want to? It's his show, just make him badass the whole time.
Right. Yeah. I think that's another thing with Disney because, like there's sometimes, especially like in Kenobi, they're like, okay, is this the Kenobi show or is this the Reva show? And it's just like, or Book of Boba Fett, is this Boba's story or Mando's? But it's kind of the same thing to a sense with how Maul is. This is his own show, and he's kind of, he gets belittled a little bit and isn't shown like it's not the Maul we once knew, if that makes sense. So I don't know. I think as time goes on and as he gets a little bit older, because I think in Maul Shadow Lord he's like 34 years old or something like that. So very, very cool to see. Like just that's how that's all playing out. But I don't know, dude. It's kind of rough because there's some moments where it's like, damn, there's Maul. That's the Maul I know. And then there's times where it's just like, ah, damn, he kind of sucks, like he's not like a good duelist, It's like, is that why he has a double blade? There's certain attacks that he can't handle. I don't know, but yeah, dude, that's kind of what I think.
Fair.
But but yeah, overall, I mean, two great episodes that definitely went out with a bang. Excited to see what they do for a second season. But yeah, dude, I think it was great, man. I loved it a lot. It was damn near perfect to me. I thought it was really really good. Of course, there just talking with you, there are a couple things where I'm like, oh, that's how that happened, But that's Star Wars all around. There's I can pull so many things from every single series, movie, blah blah blah, and I can be like, yeah, whatever. But that's okay. It's Star Wars. So, but yeah, well, man, I think that's gonna wrap up for today, guys. Maul Shadowlord here reviewed with Andy from Why So Sidious. We've talked every week except for episodes 5 and 6, but still, I mean, we recapped it a little bit last week, and yeah, guys, Andy, if you want, go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you, bro. Appreciate this time with you.
No, thank you as always for having me on. I love coming on and chat with you, and I'm excited to do Mando at the end of the month. So it's going to be another exciting one. But yeah, this has been a great show to review with you. First of all, because it's the first Star Wars we've had in a while, to be fair, and it's always good to chat Star Wars. It's my favourite thing in the world. Well, I always appreciate you letting me come on. So thank you very much, and thank you to everyone in the chat for participating over these last 4 or 5 weeks. It's been great seeing a lot of the regulars show up as well, to be fair. So always
Yeah.
appreciate that. But yeah, Why So Sidious? You can catch us on Instagram, TikTok, X. You can catch every episode we've got over on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just like Brandon, we do a lot of our episodes live. It's not always regular. It's all over the place because there's four of us and we're in three different time zones, so we have to like try and work things out. It's often divide and conquer rather than everyone together, especially now loads of us have got kids and stuff like that. So and Caleb has to get his wife's permission to use her laptop because he doesn't have his own, so it's always fun. But yeah, jump on social medias if you want to catch out and see what we're doing next. We're doing our own coverage of Maul at 9:30 PST today as well. So if you want to come and see a few other people's takes, not just mine, because you've already listened to me, then come and join us for that. We had a May the 4th special that just came out on Monday as well, where me and Caleb chatted about our top 5 biggest and best feats in all of Star Wars. So that was fun to chat about as well. But thank you, Brandon. I appreciate you giving me your time on Clan Mandalorian.
Absolutely. And always thanks for joining me. But yeah, guys, like we said, just in a couple weeks, Andy and I will be going over The Mandalorian and Grogu. We have never really reviewed a movie. I mean, we've talked about movies before, but we've never reviewed a new one. So this is going to be really cool.
Brand new because like we did the prequels on my previous show,
Yep.
didn't we? Sort of and stuff like that. So and we've done numerous TV shows together now.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I mean, first 7 years since we had a Star Wars film out, so super excited to see this. I can't wait.
Oh yeah. Good. Just a little over, like a day over 2 weeks from now. So we will be back in the theaters, guys. I mean, believe it or not, it's going to be absolutely insane. But yeah, with all that being said, guys, thank you everyone for joining in the chat today. Be sure to watch the replay if you are watching now and you're on the replay side. Please let us know one of your favorite moments from Maul Shadowlord episode 9 and 10. And yes, be sure to go follow Andy over at Why So Sidious. Everything is linked down in the description. Just scroll down a little bit. It's right there. Click. There's no problem. But yes, absolutely. This is the way. This is the way. And can't wait for another Star Wars movie at last. And that is correct. So yeah, guys. Well, with all that being said, Andy, thank you once again. And we will see you next time, everybody.